first few years were a lot of trial and error, not knowing what I was doing, not knowing how to do it, but figuring out things that worked, and then when something did work, running with that. I knew that having kids moving, having kids thinking for themselves, having kids decide what they were interested in and following that, decide on their own projects, be invested, worked. I knew what didn't work for me was having kids sit there and lecturing to them. I knew that spilling information on kids wasn't what worked for my classroom. You just ask them. You just create a place where that's what happens. So for instance, right now, my sixth grade's working on this huge symposium, and the only thing that I tell them that has to happen is it has to do with Asia. So we have kids researching, and then they'll present about communist China and how that happened. Sixth graders comparing 5 different cities in Asia and how they're similar and how they're different and why they are the way they are. About a study of the different types of foods people eat and why some places have all the food that they need and other places don't. So a wide range, and these kids truly care about these topics and are very interested. They're excited and they're going to be so proud of their work when they show it because they care about it. One of the big things that I ask is, great, you have this information, but why should I care about this? That way there's context for what they're learning and it means something and not just these far away facts. You don't jump into this free for all, go ahead and do this on your own right away. There's little projects like that along the way, but I think the biggest thing is in the beginning of the year, you have to create a space in your room where little risks can then add up into big risks. So first it's, does anyone know the answer to this? You don't? All right, well, guess. What could it be? So that someone can have a huge risk, try to study something that doesn't work or a project that totally fails, but they are okay with that because they've taken baby steps along the way. A lot of days I do a check-in, an SEL check-in. How are you feeling? So kids know that I really care about how they're feeling, and it's not just, okay, we're going to get down to geography. It's, as a human, how are we all doing? So they know that I really care about them and their classmates care about them and are invested in them as people. When you have to micromanage and keep people on task, that's when you know that when you're losing people's focus, that's when you know what you're doing is not going well. When I can walk out of the room or I just am an observer, that's when I think I'm being the best teacher, when I'm doing nothing. They are not distracted by their classmates. They are going to take risks on their own. They're going to figure things out. They might ask their classmates for help. Since we do spend a lot of time on SEL things in my classroom, I feel that I'm much more connected to my students as human beings, which I think is really important. I think they also view me as a human being. We just have a really great relationship, and it's not an us versus them thing. We're all working together. They know I really care about how they're feeling. They know their classmates care about how they're feeling, and we're just like one large organism working together where it's not disjointed. It's not, oh, you're the teacher and we're the students. We all sort of work together in a really kind of a magical way. You can create your classroom any way you want it to be, and just because the person next to you maybe does something different, it doesn't make what you're doing not right. You don't have to sit and lecture and have tons of homework and have tests every week. You can create your classroom to be whatever you want it to be. And your class doesn't have to be stressful to be meaningful. You don't have to overwork a student to prove that you are learning a lot. Do the same things you're asking your kids to do. Think outside the box, put yourself out there, be innovative, have fun, take risks like you're asking your students to take risks. Sometimes I've been in the middle of a project or lesson, I'm like, this is horrible, I'm never doing this again. But then in the middle of it, you change it, you try to redirect it.